Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on today's live stream. Today we have Pavel of Blynk, which is an IoT app platform. And we're excited to have Pavel on the show today to talk about what's possible today in terms of standing up new IoT applications, even if you're not a programmer and even if you don't have an army of developers to do this type of work. So excited to have Pavel on the show. Welcome, Pavel. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself? Let us know about how you got started with Blink. Tell us a little bit about Blink too.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and many thanks a lot for inviting me. I'm really excited about this live stream. So yeah, my name is Pavel. I'm the founder and CEO of Blink. My background is in product experience and digital user experience design. So this is where I've been working for many years before I started Blink, more than 15 years. My last job was working within the automotive space, where we developed experiences for driver experiences for connected cars. And this is exactly where I kind of started to work more and more with electronics, because we had to build like prototypes, physical prototypes, like how steering wheel kind of react with certain things, with interfaces and all of that. So this is where I kind of got into Arduino stuff and like started educating myself on the electronic side and a bit of the coding. And this is where I realized that in terms of tools, there was no easy way to build something with electronics that would interface with like smartphones or websites or something like that. You just had to learn a lot more. Like you would need to learn actually how to write an app, and then you know that hardware is hard and like by itself, but then making it talk to something else was like even a bigger challenge. So this is where idea came from, like, hey, let's build some tool for ourselves first of all, so that we can build prototypes between that communicate that connect the electronics and the user interfaces that are commonly available. So this is where idea for Blink came up with. I found a guy, Dmitry, who is our CTO right now, and he was also into Arduino a bit. And he told me, "Hey, this thing just lies on my shelf somewhere. I like your idea. Let's build something." So we started doing that, and then another guy joined who was really familiar with the electronics. This is Vladimir Shumansky. He is our embedded solutions architect right now. So like we got all these three pieces and we developed the first prototype, and then we decided to go to Kickstarter, where we got a lot of support from the engineering community. And this is where we realized, oh, actually, like Blink is interesting to a wider audience. And this is where we started kind of developing it further. So it was like an official launch of Blink Company, I would say. Yeah, and today we are a huge community of over 500,000 people who are using Blink all over the world. Yeah, like our geography like really spans across 170 countries. Yeah, so this is where we are, and yeah, this is the story of how it was created.
Awesome. Thanks for the intro. I really like the fact that you went through Kickstarter for some initial market validation. What was that process like?
So to be honest, it was like a full-time job, because once like you have something working, but then okay, we need to present it to the world. Okay, like what's the business model? What's the presentation pitch? What's the marketing message? What's the mission of the company and all of that? So it's a really nice exercise, first of all, because for yourself, you need to define a lot of things, like what are the key values of the product, what are the benefits that you're bringing, and branding and all of that. So it was pretty cool. And then we had to shoot a video. To be honest, the whole process took us like almost a year. I mean, it was like slowly cooking, and then it just ended up, and like at some point, like, yeah, just launch it, and that's it. Yeah.
How much of it was getting the technology ready, and how much of it was the branding, the messaging, the packaging? What does that breakdown look like?
So at that time, we had a working prototype, like a pretty solid working prototype. To be honest, we were like 70% ready, I think, to go to market. But at that time, it was like a side project for all of us, and that's why we were afraid that it may die just because we were not working on it full time. So the Kickstarter was this kick to the butt, let's say, that forced all of us to get out of the comfort zone and, hey, let's just try kind of finalize it somehow and see what's it worth. So yeah, technology-wise, it was almost ready, and everything else we learned along the way. So it was very new to all the members of the team. So it was pretty fun, I should say. The whole thing.
And then everybody's working on this part-time as a side project, and then the Kickstarter gets some traction, and then is that when you're like, okay, it's time to go all in on this? This is a good full-time opportunity for us to explore further. Is that how it happens?
Pretty much, yes. So I finalized my job thing, like main job at that time, and we were like fully immersed into Blynk, and it was a great decision. I never regretted it. I mean, it's an awesome time, difficult, challenging, but also kind of very insightful. And when you hear all this feedback from people when they start like working on real project, and like at that time, like 6 years ago, we were like, when I would read the forum or our community pages in the morning, that was the biggest inspiration. You see like, oh, people build some robot there, or they build some interesting gardening system or something else. That was really inspiring, and I think that this was something that kept us going like forward with full speed. Yeah, that was really nice, really nice time.
That's awesome. So I'll take a moment and ask the audience if you guys have any questions, any comments. We are live. The benefit of that is that it can be interactive. So we're live on YouTube, on LinkedIn. You can drop a comment in the chats or a question, and as we go along, I'll check out the stream and see if there are any good ones that we want to talk about. But about the how you got on my radar with Blynk is in part because of my background. So as we've spoken, I was at an AI IoT startup, and we were selling AI solutions into enterprise. And the way that I did both the data science part, and I also did the business development part of things. And oftentimes the way that I would sell deals is sort of a framework where we would have some sort of proof of concept. We would do some like interesting things from an analytics perspective, from a data science perspective, and then we would try to do a 3-month POC project where we would deliver something a little bit more meaningful,
tangible. Yeah, okay,
tangible. But even then, it was very hard for us to deliver working software and applications. So it was still kind of like showing off like more interesting models, more graphs, and more PowerPoints and more images, but it wasn't really delivering a fully fledged application. And I think, the market's come a long way since then. 4 years ago, you could get away with that. You can get away with selling like a 6-figure POC and deliver that.
yeah.
But today you can't do that. Like the customers and enterprises are demanding that you show working software in 2 weeks. So you got to turn around something very fast. And that's the demand side, but also on the supply side, you have companies like Blynk that are also making that possible as well. So talk to us about how people are using Blynk to do that, to leverage that fast prototype. So I can deliver a working app in 2 weeks using Blynk. What's that process? How am I going to be using Blynk to do that?
Sure. I think that first of all, maybe we need to talk a bit about what Blynk is, just like on a high level, because maybe people that are joining in that are not fully aware of the platform.
Sure.
So basically, Blynk is an IoT platform that consists of 4 different products. We offer cloud that works out of the box, so you don't need to run your own server or anything. It's available for everyone, and you don't have to deal with that. Secondly, we offer libraries for the hardware that help you to connect the devices to the cloud and start sending the data, which most of the platforms are doing today, right? And of course, this library also offers an API to work with all the other modules of Blynk system. The third product, I think it's the most like the famous one, which made Blynk famous, is the mobile application builder. So you just download the mobile app, Blynk mobile app for iOS or Android. We're cross-platform, and then you can drag and drop all the bits of interface that you need in order to build the dashboard for the control panel or this data visualization panel for your device. But also it has way more than that. Like you can do Wi-Fi provisioning of the device straight for Blynk, and like do alerts, notifications, record all sorts of events. So it's just packed with features that are very relevant to the IoT development. And then we have the fourth product, which is the Blynk console. It's a web application that allows you, of course, to view the data from the devices at the very low level. But on the high level, it provides businesses with like a full management of users, devices, allocations, organizations, all the structural thing, roles, permissions, over-the-air updates, and all like a management thing, but also data visualization as well. So yeah, and that was like going back to your question. Basically, our mission was to kind of democratize the whole thing. So when I first like Blynk actually appeared in the same years where like people started to talk more and more about IoT, and for many people it was like already known things like that things can talk to the internet. It's not something new, but on a highly like a different level, like reducing the complexity, making more usable for business scenarios, and all of that. So this is where I was started thinking, okay, like we have like 10 years ago, before that, no one would think that they can kind of sign up for Squarespace for $10 and then build their own website, or use Shopify for $12 and build their own e-commerce shop in just one day, right? There's something was like unthinkable of. So my thinking was, yeah, so something will happen with the device field as well, because it's very obvious that more and more devices will become connected at that time, and they will also need some sort of a representation as a kind of interaction panel. So this is where like the idea of Blynk came from. Like, yeah, let's make it something similar to Squarespace and Shopify. So let's build tools that would allow people to build mobile apps for connected devices in a couple of days. And I think that we achieved that. Our tagline for Kickstarter was kind of say hello world from the hardware in 5 minutes, and we have videos of people doing that. So it's just initial communication of a smartphone with the hardware can happen in less than 5 minutes. Of course, like we can't eliminate the code writing on the hardware, like the firmware writing, because every product is unique, every project is unique. We just don't know there. We provide different tools that people can code and like use the other parts of the platform. However, the rest of the platform is fully no code. Like, as I said, the apps are drag and drop. You can customize the way things look. You can set up and configure how these things work. On the web console, you can configure a lot of things out of the box without any coding at all. So it's pretty kind of customizable. And yeah, it can look like a really solid app. And our businesses today, I think our record right now is businesses who have developed the prototype with Blynk free version, went fully commercial in just 2 weeks. So they basically had their first client in just 2 weeks after they called us, and they told, hey, we want to go commercial, right? So let's go, let's use a different plan. So yeah, the prototyping with Blynk currently takes about a couple of days, and we've been in sales meetings where we would present the working solution to the customer during the meeting. So it's like in a 40-minute window, one of engineers just sitting nearby, and we just discussing with the client. And in parallel, we are connecting their hardware. And at the end of the meeting, we show them, and usually it would end up with them running around the office and showing them, hey, look, we have an app that works with our stuff already. So yeah, it was pretty.
As a former business development person, that is like the best way to sell this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it worked a lot of times for sure.
So to recap, Pavel, you've got 4 products. You have the hardware agent. So if I need to use your agent to connect to the plethora of edge devices that I have out there. So if it's an Adreno, or it's some sort of temperature sensor or some humidity sensor, I'm going to use libraries. And this is still code based
Yeah,
to plug in those sensors into the Blynk platform. But
yes,
then once I have those connected, the data streams are going to be coming into the platform. Then I can use your no code app builder to start deriving insights that is going to help someone make decisions on your no code app builder, and that's web based, that people can use without necessarily going into code.
Yeah, that's correct. And as a next step, if you are satisfied with what you are getting, like if you are getting closer, like your prototype is somewhere close to the production, you can basically just within a couple of days convert it into a standalone branded app. So it will be published in the App Store and Google Play under your company's name with your company logo, branded as you want it. You will also can run the console version on your domain as well. So it's like a fully white label solution where nobody will ever know that it's Blynk. Even the like all the reset passwords and all these transactional emails, they will be coming from your email address. So it's like your solution. So there's no Blynk just works under the hood, but there's nothing up there.
We've got this question coming up from Andy. How long does it take to build an e-commerce solution? And I think we just talked a little bit about that, but my guess is that that happens pretty quickly if you have the data and you have the problem identified. What I'm guessing, Pavel, is that that's pretty straightforward to do. You want to talk a little bit more about that?
So I don't think I fully understand the question because like e-commerce in my understanding is kind of building a store, e-commerce store. So if you're talking about building a commercial solution, then I can talk about the timeline, the usual timeline of how it happens within Blynk. Do you
Yeah.
think that this is
Yeah,
relevant?
I think that's where that question is going. It's how do you
Okay.
build a commercial IoT solution that you can white label and start onboarding clients to as a developer?
Yeah, so let's look at a very common scenario of most of our clients. So we offer two types of services, like a self-serve platform, which like many you can start using today, and if you come up with a great idea, you can commercialize it at some point. And we also work directly with customers. So I don't think like the second one is a different thing. But let's talk about the platform. So usually, like starts with engineering. So someone comes up with a great idea. They usually know what kind of electronics they use. It's great that Blynk already supports over 400 different microcontrollers. You can basically, whatever you choose, most likely we will support it. So they start scouting for certain solutions. Let's say they found Blynk. They discover the agent. They start try to connect their first device, which is really, really simple with Blynk. Usually takes about 5 minutes. Then they explore our mobile application builder. So they start sending the data to the cloud and then processing this data in the apps, but in the way of controlling stuff or just visualizing the stuff. So there are a lot of iterations within the company when they do that. At some point, they kind of define, okay, this is like a good pilot project that we can deliver to our customers. At that time, they can decide whether they want to continue using Blynk and present it as a kind of Blynk app that works with their device, which is also doable. Or they can say, no, we want our white label product, and they decide, let's wrap it in as a separate app, as a standalone server, like we provide private server for that. So they go like full blown white label solution. We help them to launch, and then they basically start working. The good part about Blynk is that we allow a lot of on the fly changes. So like if you want, like you got some feedback from the customers, right? So like we need this functionality, we don't want this, we want that. We need this button to be up here and all of that. So you can do all of that just like in live scenario. So you don't have to update the app, so you don't have to do anything. You can first of all provide over-the-air updates so that all their devices are updated, and then you can modify the layout of the dashboard without republishing the app. So you just like update it, then press the button update for all the devices, and then all users will be updated. So we also kind of allow a lot of kind of design thinking and iterational approach to the product development, because you need to kind of adapt, change things, remove things a lot. And this is basically coming from my experience of creating kind of innovative products, because you have to iterate a lot. So we build these tools as well into the platform. So at some point, the whole thing stabilizes and you kind of understand what's needed for this first iteration. And then usually about 1 to 3 years, companies are running this exact kind of setup with certain modifications on the go. And after that, when they realize that, hey, we collected some data, we got some insights from the customers, we know how the whole thing is integrated within our company, how it affects our businesses, then they can come back to us and tell us, hey, we need this or that, how we can do this or that. And this is where like we start working with them on the machine learning side or AI side, where we start, okay, like let's see what we can get from this data. What are the insights that are important for your business, for your customers? And this is where usually kind of we start the next phase, and then it just kind of develops the way it develops. I think that's a pretty common scenario for a lot of our customers.
That's great. That's a great example. Can you talk a little bit about the edge options? Any issues there in terms of connecting to certain family of devices? What are some of the challenges that people are having on that front in terms of getting the data from their controllers and their devices up to Blynk? Anything that you want to talk about there?
So to be honest, we don't see a lot of we don't see issues there when building a product. I think it's interesting that there was some data circulating like 4 years ago or something like that, that more than 40% of IoT devices fail to connect to like local Wi-Fi networks. So basically, like there's no onboarding happening. And I understand why, because there's just so many moving points, like the signal strength, the kind of interference, bad code, bad user experience, all of that. So we worked a lot on that front as well, and I think that currently Blynk has a very strong way of onboarding devices. Because if you're looking at the developer experience, is I think it was solved in the very beginning. But then once this product gets into customer hands, this is where you need to make sure that first of all they can connect the device. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. If the device is not connected, then it's not an IoT device. So we offer different types of onboarding the devices. We can work with cellular devices, which is just by scanning the QR code on the box, and then it can go online, all the way to providing the full flow for onboarding of Wi-Fi devices. So we guide the customers through the steps in the app to connect to their local home or office network. And we also provide all the developer tools so that nobody has to care about that. It kind of works out of the box. So I think that it was a big chunk of the platform. And to be honest, it requires constant changes, because like in the latest iOS update, they completely change how Wi-Fi work, and we need to upgrade the whole system so that it supports that. And this is where my understanding of like there's this debate of whether should like we can build it by ourselves, right? Yeah, we can build whatever by ourselves. We hear a lot, and it's true. Like if company has resources to build it, they can definitely build it. It's just a matter of time and the team. But also this thing of experience, which usually is not counted by these companies. Like we've been through hundreds of edge cases when onboarding devices, and I'm just talking about like this small part, which is super important to IoT. And when I look at that, I think that I would not recommend building such things by yourself. It's just so complex. I think it's possible, but if you can kind of somehow work around of that, definitely recommend doing that. It's just very complex.
Neat. Do you have are there like families of connected device hardware options that you really like that work really well with Blynk? Like for example, if I want to go out and develop a new say fleet tracking application using Blynk, is there an array of sensors or a hardware provider out there that you really like for that sort of stuff that just we know it's going to be like super easy to plug into Blynk?
So it's a very good question, because this is something that our company is currently working on. Before your question, let's say it this way, let's put it this way, we were mostly focused on companies and people who are building custom things. So they would take the microcontroller, put it on the board, then do all the peripherals they want, like controllers, sensors, whatever they want. and like an air conditioner, like you just take it and then you need to embed the Wi-Fi modem into that, and then make sure that it works with all the other stuff. So, and it is great, and I think we kind of covered a lot of challenges for these companies there. But now we are thinking exactly the way that you just mentioned. So we are talking with hardware manufacturers who have built ready-to-use off-the-shelf products like a fleet tracking solution, right? So we already in conversations with a couple of companies like that. So they have amazing hardware, and we don't do hardware; we just do software. Our software is pretty good, so then we can tell them, okay, you can integrate our solution within your hardware, and then like you just unlock all of this, like hundreds of use cases for your customers, which can definitely help them sell the devices, and we hope that it will help the end customers because they will be using good software, as we believe we are building good software. So yeah, we're thinking in this direction, like how we can expand our presence in off-the-shelf products, and I think that we will see something coming up this year or next year.
Cool. Yeah, that's very exciting because yeah, I think when I think about product development, I'm thinking about the different components that have to come together, and oftentimes like it's the hardware talking to software. There's a little bit of an issue there,
Yeah,
but if
always.
that right, so to the extent that you can minimize that, because Blynk has said like, oh, this hardware provider like out of the box is going to work with Blynk, no problem. We're going to update our updates are going to be in sync so that whenever there's an issue, like it's already patched up before you know it. I think that would be a little bit easier for folks like me on the product development side.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, as like from the company perspective, the number of manufacturers that are willing to kind of take Blynk as a development tool and build something on top of that, there are like hundreds, let's say, of them, or thousands, I don't know. But if we are talking about ready-to-use products, there are way more companies who are building great like asset tracking solutions, and we are, as I said, we're in conversations with some like really interesting ones, which are autonomous, can survive on solar batteries for decades, and yeah, and they don't have this software component, so this is a very lucrative market for us as well. So yeah, stay tuned for updates from us. We are working on that.
That's very neat. Can you talked about the white label and folks developers using your software to go and produce IoT solutions and sell that. I think that's really really cool. You're just dropping the barriers to entry to that sort of work. Can you give us some examples? Who are some interesting companies that are doing things like that? What's been their experience using Blynk?
That's a great question because I was just reviewing like our clients recently because we have already a lot of them who launch different products. Some of them are not really successful. Some of them are really successful. So the latest one we launched is a pretty cool. So there is like I learned by myself that like reptile keepers community is very big, and they like reptiles, they require a certain
Oh,
environment where they live at home. So these guys, Microclimate from a UK company, it's a UK company. So they've been building products for this community for many years, and they just upgraded it to a connected thing so that their customers can be alerted if something goes wrong, because like it's really important for them. It's like they care about the pets they have. So yeah, they just launched the product with us. By the way, the app looks great. We just posted it on our social media. I really like this project. Another one that went live recently, which I would, to be honest, I'm thinking about installing myself like in my apartment right now. So there's a shower cleaning system, basically like a, I don't even know how to describe it. So there's a device that comes from the ceiling when there's nobody in the bathroom, and it can clean up the shower,
oh,
the shower by itself. So it can connect it to the cleaning solution and to the water, and it can do all of that. But if we're talking about implementing it in the hotel, for example, they need management for that. So they need to see how the system operates, like where's the cleaning solution are out of that, we're out of the solution, this and that. So they use Blynk for all of these things. So there's an app that you can kind of see the status and control all of that, and there is like this management thing which goes on and on. Another interesting uh, okay, let's they're like big and small, and to be honest, sometimes small are also interesting. I'm a huge coffee fan, like coffee, and there's a UK company as well that integrated Blynk into their coffee machines. And it's interesting that it's a B2C product because it's a high-end coffee machine, and people need like precise control of like how this machine operates, like espresso machine. And
Yes.
instead of building the physical controls, which they can obviously do, of course, they decided to build it with an app as well, but also get all the benefits of connected product, which is like reporting any issues with the device, like any like low pressure, some all of that. So this is a pretty cool thing, and I think that one of the coolest, like last to mention, is a company from Germany. They build cleaning equipment for municipalities. So basically, they work with cities. They equip cities with machine, like with the vehicles that kind of do watering, snow cleaning, all sorts of these things. And there's like a lot of reporting involved into like how this company communicates with the city, how they get orders, how they do like all of that. So city needs full report on where the vehicle had been, how many hours it was worked on, how much gravel it was kind of spitting out on the streets and all of that. So yeah, so they're using Blynk for specifically for the asset tracking solution. So they know exactly where the vehicles are, in which mode they are. They have all the reporting in place. Yeah, it's a pretty cool company as well. So, and something we want to kind of expand to in this asset tracking, because Blynk was primarily used for stationary objects, but now we're moving into this space of moving objects, and this was a great project to work on and to explore what's needed, like how it works and all that. So it's pretty cool.
We got
So
another
basically,
question.
people just just to finalize, people brew beer with Blynk. They grow marijuana. They build smart home devices. Yeah, it's just it's like with Squarespace, right? So all the websites are different, and I think that it's very applicable to Blynk as well. It's just very different.
We got another question here from LinkedIn. Do you
Sure.
consider yourself a data or hardware company? I think I can. Let me try to field that, Pavel. You tell me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I would see Blynk as a software company, sort of an infrastructure enablement company. So they're not going to give you the hardware. You have to go out and get that. Um, and even the data, you have to generate that yourself. But if you want to house your data somewhere and you want to extract insights from that data and you want to present that to an end user or a decision maker, then you can use Blynk for that type of work. How do I do, Pavel?
Yeah, that's correct. We are not a hardware company. We know a lot about hardware, and we provide a lot of tools to work with hardware. However, we are purely a software company. That's
Those are great use cases. There was something else that came to mind where I lost my train of thought that I wanted to talk about. Uh, let's see here. Well, let's just recap some of the examples that you made. Microcontrollers for reptiles, cleaning systems. Oh, here's a question that I had. So you talked about read from device to the application. How about controlling the devices from a Blynk application? Is that possible? And how might that work?
Yeah, so we provide communication in both ways. By the way, it's secure, always like encrypted messages from the cloud to the device and from the apps to the device. So yeah, we provide both ways communication, and you can control or you can stream the data to the cloud. Works in both directions. And in terms of UI, we offer a ton of different control widgets or kind of UI elements that you can use, like sliders to control the range, buttons to turn things on and off, switches, menus, radio buttons, and all of that. And you can send any data from the app to the device and process it the way you want, or the other way. By the way, like your background is machine learning and artificial intelligence. So this is something that we don't provide out of the box, but also we provide we provide an API which you can use in order to maybe get the data to Blynk Cloud, because like this is a very easy way instead of like running your own database or something. Then get this data to external service like Edge Impulse, for example, right? And train the data there, train the model there, and then use it to kind of push back the model to the device. By the way, using Blynk as well with over-the-air updates, you can update all of the devices with a new model, and then it can provide insights which are based on the kind of income that it's getting from the sensors. And then, yeah, you can like change an image there, send a notification based on this insight, or provide it as a piece of data, as a number, as a string, whatever you want. So yeah, it's both ways, and we have different ways of sending it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that clarification. You talked about machine learning, Edge Impulse. I've heard a lot of great things about Edge Impulse. Can you talk more about how Blynk is integrating with companies like Edge Impulse, and what's what's the value there?
So currently there is no direct integration with such systems. However, we are considering that because we see a lot of value in bringing it to the customers. To be honest, my experience with Edge Impulse is that it's definitely a great product, but you still need to be like qualified to a certain matter to be able to build a model. I'm not a super technical guy. I know a lot of things. I know how to code a bit, but even for me, like training the model there for something simple requires like diving deeper into that. Yeah, so it's doable. We've seen a lot of tutorials and people doing stuff with Edge Impulse and Blynk, but yeah, there's no direct integration. I think that we would like to send batches data to there so that it can be used. It's something that we don't have. However, it's still doable. Like you can export data from Blynk and then put it to like manually put it for training in Edge Impulse, and then use this model together with Blynk API to send the outcomes of this model to the apps and to the email, to whatever you want. So it's doable, but it's not direct, I would say. However, it's a definitely great product. It's a huge step forward, I think. I don't think that they invented something new. However, they just made it much more accessible to people. And I believe that this is how things should work. You just should make it like easy, digestible, and like you should have a clear path. Like, okay, I need to do this. How can I achieve that? And they did a pretty good job at that. But yeah, just a bit complicated for me still to build the model right.
Yeah, they're definitely on my radar. A couple of people that I follow have recommended them to me, so I will be digging into them, and I'll keep you posted on that. Aside from Edge Impulse, any other ways that people are leveraging machine learning and AI with Blynk products?
So because we are kind of a Lego constructor, right, and everyone can build whatever they want from the bricks they have, we don't see. Sometimes we hear that feedback, and people just using whatever they want, like Python notebooks, whatever they can to do it. However, we see this thing. If you want to run it on the device, then you need to build a model so that it can run. So I can only talk about the examples that I've heard about the Edge Impulse, because they can build this low code models that you can upload to microcontrollers. And we mostly work with microcontrollers like ESP32 or like Terminal by Seed Studio, all of that. So they are capable of doing certain calculations, but they also have their own limitations. And that's why this company is very well positioned to build models for these low performance devices. So I think that's why we hear more about this one rather than anyone else.
Neat. Shifting over a little bit, I think in our previous talks you mentioned that that Blynk has been profitable since year 2. You obviously have a growing developer base. You have products and applications out in the marketplace, some traction. Have you raised any funds from private equity, or are you just bootstrapping this? And are you going that route?
Well, we got the crowdfunding on Kickstarter, but other than that, we've been bootstrapping since day one. And to be honest, we got into like a very tricky situation, because if we were like once we got the funding, we were like, okay, the idea is validated. Let's just do it, right? So at that time, we were really focused on the product, and yeah, we wanted to build something cool, and I think we did. Uh, but if we so basically, yeah, we lost the momentum with venture capital, because at that time we should have gone to them and say, hey, look at that, we have traction, we have a product to build, and yeah, show us what you get for us. But instead we decided to build a product, and I think it was a good decision, because at that time we had to understand, okay, how we can make money, can we build a company out of that. So it kind of stopped us a bit from growing faster, but also gave us a lot of lessons on how to run a business. So yeah, we started going to the investors slightly later, and everything we like, all the comments we got from them. Okay, like you made this amount this month. Can you show us 200% growth in 6 months, and then please come to us and we will help you out. So then you would come to them with these numbers that they asked, and then they would say, "Oh, nice. Can you do more?" So at the time, I realized that okay, I have just two ways. Either I would spend like full time on the fundraising, because this is a full time job. It's no joke. You just can't do anything else apart from that. Or we will build a company. And somehow we decided that yeah, let's just build it, because we saw some traction. We already were like paying our bills, and we decided yeah, let's just bootstrap and do it. Yeah,
That's
I can't say it was like a great decision or not so great decision, but it is what it is, and we learned how to make money, and we learned how to kind of bootstrap and be in different circumstances where we can rely on ourselves only. So I'm glad that we did the choice, obviously.
yeah, I think that's becoming a little bit more of a popular trend, is going the bootstrapping route, and it does sort of instill a good amount of discipline,
Yeah,
uh,
a
for
lot.
sure, because you're spending your own money and money that's coming in from clients. Like, venture capital is great, but it's investor money, and it's a little bit more
It's
removed
always a
than
debt. Yeah, so you
it.
always owe something.
Right, and it definitely has a say in terms of what you want to develop as a product, because it's just you have other people to please in that respect.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. So like this, like this is a first business for me, to be honest. Like the first venture. I mean, I've done something in the past, but they were too small. Something big is definitely first. So this feeling of kind of freedom, certain freedom, because you're just free to do whatever you want. Tomorrow I can say yeah, let's do this, and we can totally do it. Yeah, you can't do it with investors on the board. Like they were like, oh, like really, how much we're gonna spend on that, and what's the outcome? I mean, we still should think about that as well, but it's just purely my decision, or like decision with the partners, discussed with the partners. So yeah, but it's also limitation. I think that um, potentially we could have been in a different position should we have raised some funds before. It would definitely unlock certain opportunities for us, but I never regretted it. So who knows?
Are you thinking of staying on course, just bootstrapping, or you're thinking about raising sometime later?
We consider raising it sometime later. Yeah. So we
Okay.
need to scale up. I think that yeah. So basically, we are right now at the position where Blynk has a very good product. It has a good reputation. However, you didn't know about Blynk. Come on, right? So there's something wrong about that. So we definitely need to speed up on kind of telling everyone how cool Blynk is, and onboarding more people, and basically just helping companies to build their connected businesses, because we believe there's a lot of financial opportunity in that, and not only financial but also like all the other things.
That is spot on. I mean, I think that's a good point, Pavel, because yeah, I've been in the space for a while, and I was unfamiliar with Blink. And when I came across you guys and I saw your website, I saw what you were offering. I was like, yes, oh my gosh, I totally need this. And B, I saw your SaaS pricing. Like, wait, this is like price on a per monthly basis, and I can white label stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you have these four options. Like, that is like a killer offer. That's an amazing offer. And so yeah, I think there is something to be said about that in terms of the marketing and promotion side, and um, the funds that allow you to do that, to get the word out and get get in front of more eyeballs. Because my sense is like you guys have a proven product, you have a really good offer. It's a definitely a big pain point. So now amplify that, and just get that ball rolling. So, but whatever it is you guys do, it's just super exciting what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
Um, anything that you want to talk about in terms of new offers, new features for Blynk that people should be looking forward to, that people should be excited about?
Sure. So there are a couple of things that, first of all, we talked about the off-the-shelf product. So this is a very interesting direction for the company. We are in conversations with like a fleet tracking solutions with a couple of industrial equipment for electricity management and all of that. So we want Blynk to kind of cover these things. And yeah, so basically we plan to open like a store, let's say, like a marketplace where customers can decide whether they want to build something or maybe they can choose something that's ready. So this is a big thing for us for this year. Another thing is we would like to democratize IoT even further. So we have this plan where, like, let's say, so we see a lot of potential in like a smaller communities. Yeah, let me explain it. Like, let's say you have a boat, right, and you are in the marina and there are like 100 people you are talking to, and you are an electronics engineer, so you already know what kind of product it could be a good fit for this community. And I'm just talking about the actual examples from what we heard, but you also are capable of building something. So you're not like a 1,000 employee company where you can build whatever you want. And but you can, like, using the today's technologies with like 3D printing or ordering PCBs and like coding everything by yourself, you're capable of building, let's say, 1,000 devices by yourself in your garage, which are kind of commercial grade. So yeah, and but on the other hand, you might not be able to spend 10K or like 13K per month per year on the white label solution. So we want these people to be able to distribute products that are compatible with Blynk app itself. So you don't have your own app, but you can sell your product, and other customers can buy it from you, and they can onboard it using Blynk app. And yes, it's not your company name, whatever, but it works with Blynk, and they can use all the functionality that you've designed, and you can manage this business, but just inside of the Blynk ecosystem. I think that's a big thing for us as well.
Gotcha. So to recap that, if I'm say an end user in this community of boaters, to use your example, I download the Blynk app, and then now the engineer can do his work with the hardware, set up my boat, and then he could just push it to that Blynk app so that I get what I need to do. And
Yeah,
I might have an option for my boating um uh, um activities, but I might also have somebody doing something for like my cat and my
exactly.
plants
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that. So but it's all like in Blynk, and you have different features that you look at that are managed by different people that are just uploading to that
correct.
shared
Yeah, yeah.
ecosystem.
And the
Got
best
it.
part is that once we get, like, we hope to get a lot of products published in this manner. The best part is that they will be able to interoperate with each other, because it's under one system. You can expose certain things to be
Oh wow.
automated, for example. So if there's like an alarm going on the boat, you can blink the lights in your house if lights are like Blynk enabled. So yeah, so this is some interesting use cases we're looking at as well.
That's cool. That's very neat. Yeah, it's almost like an IoT OS for the end user, and you're surfacing apps into that ecosystem.
Correct. Yeah.
That's really exciting. So you have two really cool products coming up the marketplace. So if I want to go to market with something, I can see the hardware there and just streamline that. And then you have this end user Blynk ecosystem you're developing too. That sounds really exciting. Pavel, anything else that you want to touch on before we wrap up?
Well, I think it was a pretty cool talk, and I'm glad that I had this opportunity to share what we have. As you said, we need to do more of that. So I'm glad that we're talking with your community, with your folks about what we do, and I hope that someone will try it out and find it useful. So we are always there to help. You can check our website, check our community forum, which is pretty active, by the way. A lot of engineers there from all over the world discussing what they built or asking questions. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're welcoming you to try it out.
Awesome. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you or follow you, where are you active? Where can people find you?
So I'm pretty active on the forum, and you can join, send me a connection on LinkedIn as well. I think these are the best. I'm not using Twitter or Facebook a lot. So yeah, these are two primary channels, I would say.
So LinkedIn is where you'll find Pavel. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Pavel, thanks for taking the time to chat. Really exciting what's going on at Blynk, and look forward to tracking your progress. And when you release those products, come back on the show and talk to us
Yeah,
about it.
I will. I will. Thanks a lot, Manny. I'm really happy that we're talking today.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye bye. Bye, everyone.